Are you going to put it on? How are we going to start this?
Oh, looks like it's going on now. Okay, so, hello. I'm James Hubacher, and I'm here with my friend Frank.
Hello.
Yeah, we're here to discuss cystic fibrosis in memory of a friend of mine and who had it and has since passed. So, Frank, yeah, I know you have cystic fibrosis, and, well, from what I understand, and it's a lung disease, and people who have it don't usually live very long, and they commonly also cough up blood. Anything else you could probably say about it?
Well, I mean, both of those, depending on the case, are true. Children born with cystic fibrosis are often diagnosed. It's primarily was once considered a children's disease. Over the last 2 decades, I'd say, the life expectancy for those with cystic fibrosis has dramatically increased via medication, treatment options, and the increased amount of lung transplants that have become more commonplace. But coughing up blood was definitely a large part of my life for quite a while before I got my transplant.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, so, yes, my friend who had cystic fibrosis was named Carrie, and, she was a good one. She was actually married to another friend of mine from high school named Chris, and, I'm sure she's touched the hearts of everyone who's met her. She was a very kind and caring girl, and she lived life to the fullest, absolutely. And I do know that, I know that she didn't usually let that thing in the way of her, like, she did, Carrie, I know that, Carrie was a really thoughtful friend. She did all kinds of things, like, when my birthday, one time when my birthday came around, I told her that I was hoping to get a new wind chime, and she got me one that was a wind chime, and also a dream catcher.
That sounds nice.
Yep. Yeah, sure was. After a while, I had to remove it from the spot because my parents made a condo for my cat, and they put it in the same corner where I had my wind chime hanging, so I started looking for other places to put it. At one point I had it on the windowsill over my kitchen sink, and then I later moved it to our dining room by the curio cabinet. In fact, Frank, you may have actually seen it.
I probably haven't. Didn't even realize that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Carrie. Yeah, from my understanding, Carrie had the option to get a lung transplant but refused it. The doctor said he wouldn't live as long as she actually did. She was almost 27 years old. And, she would... Yeah, when I first officially met Carrie, it was at a welcome back dance in high school. Chris had sent her across the paths, and they danced together to the song Far Away by Nickelback. And, they fell in love quickly. They had split up a few times, but obviously got back together. I don't think one is really important. And although I will say that the second time they broke up, Carrie had gotten together with this man who she had a child with, and I know she loved that child very much. And anyway, Carrie did cough up blood a couple times when I had seen her. Last time I saw her, she did appear tired, and I know that she had to visit the hospital several times each year.
That's something that a lot of cystic fibrosis patients have to do. We call them tune-ups often, because what cystic fibrosis is it's a lung disease where most normal people have a thin lining of secretions in their lungs to keep it moisturized. Well, cystic fibrosis doesn't stop those secretions, so our lungs are constantly filling up with this secretion, and it causes us to cough a lot. And when you cough a lot over and over and over, it really agitates the bronchial airways to the point where sometimes they burst and blood comes out, and so you have to cough up the blood. Because then not only are your lungs filling up with this secretion, but you're getting blood in there too. It's really gross. It's not fun to talk about, even think about. But this is an unfortunate reality that each and every one of us have to live through. And so when we go into these tune-ups, the doctors give us an IV or a PICC line, is often the case. Or for those who are in there a lot, we actually get it's called a med port. So a permanent IV basically in our chest. And I was never actually got one of those. I always opted for the PICC lines, personally. But and they give us a lot of IV antibiotics, and we were there for a week and a half to 2 weeks. And depending on how sick you are, you have to go every 4 months, every 3 months. As you get sicker, it comes out to 2 months, every other month, every month. And at one point, I was in there every other month before I got my transplant.
Okay. Well, there you have it. Cystic fibrosis is a very disturbing thing, and I understand there are places that you can donate to help people who research cystic fibrosis to find a cure.
Yes, there are several ones out there. Offhand, I really don't know the websites or names of them, but there's I'm sure if you Google it, there'll be plenty of them. But cf.org is the main website for cystic fibrosis research. Whether you can donate to that site, or there'll be links on cf.org that will surely help you get to that. There's also other places that help places with patients with cystic fibrosis. I know me personally, there's Children's Organ Transplant Association, which helps not just cystic fibrosis, but anybody who has organ transplantation needs and they need to get funding for that. There's also a lot of other research places out there. I'm drawing blanks on them right now. I apologize, but anytime you see a CF thing, drop $1 in, because research has come a long way because of the donations that great people have donated.
Yep. Oh yes, absolutely, and if you have any friends who have cystic fibrosis or know somebody with it, all more reason for you to share this video. It's a very serious thing, and send to anybody who watching this who has cystic fibrosis and has gotten a lung transplant. I hope you're taking good care of those lungs, because let's face it, if you're not, that's not really respectful of the person donating them to you.
Yeah. One thing I do want to say to anybody watching who has CF, is family of who has CF, or friends of anybody who has cystic fibrosis, encourage them to get a transplant. I have been blessed with one, and it has been a literal life changer. If it wasn't for me getting my transplant, I never would have met James here. I would never have met his sister, my friend Jessica, a whole bunch of new friends I've made. Plus, I've extended the friendships I've made before then wonderfully, and it gives me an opportunity to get a job. It's gotten me further. I can go to school. I can do so much more with my life than what I could before I had my transplant. Please encourage everybody who has cystic fibrosis to stay healthy, do your medications, do your treatments, and when you get your transplant, take your medications every single day as the doctors tell you, because there is nothing worse than watching somebody who has a transplant fail at it, and because of negligence. I've had several friends who have gotten the transplant and thought, I got my free ticket, and stopped doing all the things that you need to do. And it's heartbreaking. And even though I've got my transplant, it's still a fight because I have to take those medications. I still have to watch for germs. I still have to. You're trading one problem for another, but it's a much easier and better manageable thing after transplant.
Thank you, Frank. And I was actually at Carrie's memorial service, and I hadn't seen Chris in almost 3 years at that point, but something was just telling me that I just had to be sure to go there and speak and make sure that Carrie's family was doing okay. For Carrie, it had been almost 2 years, and that was the last I'd ever seen her. Well, I'm sure we'll all see her in heaven, and let's see, what else is there?
I'm sure she's up there. Glad that you're taking such a proactive stance against this too. And I unfortunately never got a chance to meet her, but I've heard wonderful stories, and my heart goes out to her family. And I wish I could have met her to encourage her to get a transplant, but it's still her choice, and I respect that. And I hope that her family is going to do well after her passing.
Alright, thank you, Frank. Well, that's all for this video, and to everybody who watched all the way through, thank you for your patience and attention. Hopefully I'll have other videos that will interest you as well, and if you have any diseases you'd like me to discuss with somebody, you feel free to mention them in the comments. Yep. See you around.